Imagine sitting on a late-night train, watching the world pass by in silence, when suddenly the person sitting across from you feels familiar. The same eyes, the same voice, the same unfinished dreams. What if the stranger in front of you was the younger version of yourself? What would you say, and would you be brave enough to tell the truth? This is the story of Elias, a journey where time bends, and one man is forced to face the life he once imagined. This is Whisper, from history where forgotten voices rise again. The night train rolled through the countryside like a quiet confession carried on steel wheels. Its windows reflected tired faces and flickering lights, and the soft hum of motion wrapped every passenger in private thoughts. Among them sat a man named Elias, a traveling salesman worn by years of routine and regret. He watched the darkness outside and thought about roads not taken and words never spoken. The train slowed at a rural station barely marked on any map. A young man stepped inside, shaking rain from his coat. Elias felt an unexpected jolt of recognition. The posture, the scar near the eyebrow, the nervous way of adjusting the collar. It was like looking into a living memory. The young man sat across from him, and their eyes met. For a long moment, neither spoke. Elias felt his breath tighten as the impossible formed in his mind. This face belonged to his past. This was himself, decades younger. But what was really happening behind the curtain? The young man finally spoke, asking if the seat was taken. The voice was unmistakable. Elias remembered using that same tone when he was uncertain, yet pretending confidence. He answered softly that the seat was free. Time seemed to stretch thin between their words. As the train moved forward, they began to talk. About work, about travel, about dreams postponed. The younger Elias spoke of ambition, of leaving home, of believing the world would make sense someday. The older Elias listened with a heavy heart, knowing how that belief would be tested and worn down. The air between them grew tense with unspoken truth. Elias wanted to warn him, to say, "Choose differently, love more, forgive sooner." Yet fear held his tongue. Would changing the past erase this fragile moment? But this was only the beginning. The younger Elias asked a question that cut deep. "Do you ever feel like you missed something important?" The older man paused, feeling the weight of decades press against his chest. He answered carefully, saying life has a way of teaching lessons late. The train entered a long tunnel, and darkness swallowed the windows. The lights flickered, and for a moment the younger man seemed to blur like a reflection on moving glass. Elias reached out instinctively. When the train emerged, the seat across from him was empty. Had it all been a dream or a fracture in time? At the next stop, Elias stepped onto the platform. Morning light touched the rails, and the air smelled of rain and iron. In his pocket, he found a folded note written in his own youthful handwriting. It said, "Remember this moment." Elias watched the train disappear and felt a strange peace. The past had not been changed, but it had been acknowledged. And sometimes that was enough. He turned toward the station exit, carrying a quiet understanding that time does not always need fixing. Sometimes it only needs to be seen. Some encounters are not meant to change your life, they are meant to help you understand it, and sometimes time only reminds us that what is already past cannot be changed, but it can still teach us something. So instead of grieving over the past, learn from it, and face the challenges ahead with courage. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel.